Call Jacinda Ardern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to join with my other colleagues in supporting this motion of two very experienced members of the legal fraternity taking on two very important roles. And as my colleague David Parker did, I just want to acknowledge that the tough role that they have. The Judicial Conduct Commission was established in 2005, based on legislation that was passed the year prior to that, with a very explicit role of enhancing public confidence. In fact, that is one of their stated roles. One of their other stated goals is to protect the impartiality and integrity of the judicial system. I think there's, you hear that statement sometimes, who judges the judges, making sure that we have transparency and oversight into judicial conduct is one way in which we can add a greater layer of integrity to our criminal justice system. And that's something I think that's really to be applauded. It's also to be applauded that we have, I think, good consensus across this House on roles like this. So it only adds weight, I think, to our judiciary by having systems like this. As has been said, though, this is not a group that plays any role in contesting the decision of judges. That is a role for our courts and our appeal processes within our judicial system. This is solely about the conduct. And we know the importance of this role. We have had high-profile cases in the past. Justice Wilson, for instance, in the Saxmere case, where the Judicial Conduct Commission has played a very important role in looking into whether or not there was an issue of conflict of interest and taking a strong stance on that. And that was a very important thing to occur. I do want to join my colleagues in thanking Sir David for the role that he has played since his appointment in 2009. It was due to finish in 2014 and he continued on. He had, of course, taken over from Ian Haynes, who was our first commissioner. The workload is reasonable for our commissioners as well. 235 complaints in the year end 2013-14. In the first year it was 223. We've seen fairly consistent rates of complaints. I think probably that consistency speaks to the fact that we've had a consistent level of performance. Only 4 of those complaints were referred to the head of bench. So quite a few of those complaints are dismissed, and as my colleague mentioned, they will be sifting through vexatious complaints. But the fact that there's been a fairly steady rate, and yet we have seen that some have been escalated, shows the worth and the value of this role. I also want to just point out that there's been not one complaint since 2005 about the youth court. I think that we should acknowledge the fine role that it's either the voiceless youth or they're doing a good job. You could take a half glass full or empty approach on that one. I do want to note, though, that there were 95 cases unfinalised from the previous year. There was some note from Sir David about the pace at which it needed to be maintained to process complaints. Always useful for Parliament to keep a watchful eye on whether or not we're supporting the Commission to do the work that they are being tasked to do adequately. I want to finish, though, by acknowledging the role that Alan Ritchie is taking on in conjunction with Catherine Mary Snook. They both have an extraordinary amount of experience. Both have had roles on the parole board, for instance. Alan Ritchie has stood in for the Judicial Conduct Commissioner in the past, and his extensive experience with the New Zealand Law Society bodes very well, I think, for New Zealand's justice system and the role that he will now take on. Equally with Catherine, with the role that she has played both in private practice but also in her role in within the Office of Treaty Settlements, for instance. I think the Commission is in very good hands, and I thank the Minister for his recommendation.